The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present Nashcast.
What the is a Nashcast?
Nashcast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Go Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
Nashcast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Feeling good, folks. Little smoky over here in Kelowna. Little smoky. I feel like I smoked about 18 cigars in the shower because I got this nose, like my little buddy back there, the pink flamingo. Me and him got the same legs. And I used to give it to Flamingo Folts when I used to go block shots out to the blue line. I had sensitive feet, right? So I never wanted to take a puck in the foot. That was the worst job in the world. So I got my little buddy helping me out here. What have you been up to, buddy?
I've been balling. I've been playing basketball. I've been playing hockey. I've been recreating as one does in August because there's nothing going on. I said this on Mammoth Daily with my co-host Adrian, our daily show for the Mammoth, and like I'd like to nominate August as the worst month of the year. I mean, like I know you got the winter time and stuff, but at least in the winter you got hockey. If you're an NBA fan, you got the association. I got college basketball on Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing.
TV's tough.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you not a baseball fan?
Yeah. I love baseball. I played baseball like all the way through high school, but like
T-ball doesn't count.
The games in August, they play 162 games. They lose tonight. It's like, we'll get them tomorrow. You know,
Yeah, snooze fest.
I've been in a city where like I lived in Atlanta when they won the World Series, and it was awesome because it was baseball all the time. People, they love the Braves there, but like when I'm not in it that much, I'm not watching games, to be honest. You know, I'm not paying for MLB TV to watch the Cardinals or whomever, right? So I've just been getting beat up in beer league and adult league basketball. So that's been my August.
We need hockey back. We need NFL football back. I am so jacked up. My Chiefs are going to be back. I'm just telling you, Mahomes is looking good. He is getting healthy. So I can't wait for that to happen. But again, I'm in Kelowna here. This is an absolute joke. And the worst part is some of these fires, folks, they're man-made. Like, it's so sad. How sick in the head do you have to be to start a fire? Like, I don't get it. This lake, you could usually see all the way to the other side. Like, flights are not going in. They're not coming out. I mean, it's so sad. And this city runs on tourism. And right now, they're in a state of emergency. They want everyone out of here for their safety, for their breathing. I mean, imagine me with this nose. I mean, I'm sucking all this thing up at a different level, at a different level, folks. So anyway, it's been a tough week here in Kelowna. God bless our firefighters. We're running out of the fires. They are running right in to fight them. You mentioned that the other day on our last show. So I agree with you. That job is a dangerous one.
Are you a cigar? You're a cigar guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I've never. God. No.
I love it. Oh, yeah, every round of golf, I need a cigar. I just love puffing on them. Gretz does it. Gretz does it. So I figure, why not?
Hey, speaking of 99, wearing what on the golf cart? He was wearing the Nashcast merch. How did you pull that off?
Well, I was tossing them around, strutting around, giving these swag bags, these Nashcast swag bags. So when you come on the show, or you're going to come on the show, I give out And my team, our team, us, we give out swag bags. And in these swag bags are a couple hoodies. One's a heavier one and one is a real light one. And I gave Gretz one. I threw it in his cart and he sends me a message immediately. He's like, I cannot thank you enough. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but thank you for giving me this bag. I so appreciate it. Well, the next day at breakfast, everyone goes to the clubhouse at 8:00 in the morning and we have breakfast before we go out and play golf. And he's got this Nashcast hoodie on and he is loving it. He is smiling from ear to ear, strutting around. And I swear to God, I don't think he knew the entire first day that there is my giant schnoz on the back of it. And he's walking around. He can't see it. And it's my face. I mean, could you have ever dreamed? I used to have Wayne Gretzky wallpaper and bed sheets growing up in Edmonton, watching them win Stanley Cups, breaking every single record in the National Hockey League. And he is wearing my name on his hoodie. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was unbelievable. Probably one of the highlights for sure of my year.
Is that your revenge on Gretz? The hidden nose on him? Is that your revenge on him for when he sent you down to the minors?
He did, and we laugh about it to this day. And he wasn't wrong. Like the great one's never wrong, right? And he said it was time. He ended my career. I'll never forget sitting on his desk, mahogany desk. He calls me in training camp and he sent me to San Antonio. And that is where my NHL career died. And I mean, it's amazing when you meet your childhood hero, right? And then to realize that he's even a better human being, that he is an athlete or a player. So you love him that much more, but then all of a sudden he ends your career. And that's it. I got 3 kids under 5 years old. I'm living in Phoenix. Now all of a sudden life just flips and I'm in San Antonio. I'm back riding the bus, eating soggy subs and drinking warm beers, right? And still getting my face caved in because that league is tough, right? But oh my God, was that a time in my life? And we laugh about it today. He wasn't wrong. I was at the end of my rope. I got into broadcasting and I've been in ever since. And he's taken very, very good care of me.
I've actually never been to San Antonio, but I've heard people like always have fun there. There's that big river, right? That goes through the city. Like, isn't it a fun place to be or not really?
No. And you know what? It probably is. I even hated Toronto because I got traded to Toronto right after Halloween. And I hated Toronto. Like, who hates Toronto? I think I was just in such a miserable space in my life that I was hating everything. I mean, I was making one-way money. So that part was great. There was no escrow because I was playing in the minors. So that was great. But, you know, it was just tough sledding. But San Antonio, I like to call it Man Antonio. It's anyway, I think Charles Barkley has something to say about San Antonio as well. So anyway, it was a time. I'm glad it was over. And it's always part of your journey, right? It's part of your journey. It's part of your story and lots of ups and downs in the National Hockey League. And that leads us to, you know, our next guest, Dominic Moore. What a story. Our colleague, our lead analyst on the broadcast. The guy is an absolute pro, Folts. And I know you know this. You spend far more time with him than I do, but just what a gentleman, what a human being. Yeah. You know, the heartbreak story that he went through, the adversity, loss, you know, adversity, the grind. I mean, it's one thing to play in the National Hockey League and the grind that comes with it. But what Dominic Moore went through in the middle of his career, missing an entire season, being by his wife Katie's side at the time, and then losing her to liver cancer, and then the battle, coming back, finding love again. You know, it's certainly something special. But I was sitting there doing the research, and I had tears rolling down my cheeks because I don't think I truly understood what Dom went through in his NHL career, playing on 10 different teams. Almost 1,000 games in the National Hockey League. So I cannot wait for everyone to hear this podcast because this is a special human.
And that's how he was described to me when I first was kind of told about Dom, you know, and I was hired by the Mammoth and I was being told like, okay, we got Matt, we got Nick, we got Kim, and we got Sarah and all this. And, you know, I was kind of getting the lowdown on each of them. And the way that Dom was described was Dom is the best human that I've ever met. And he is up there. He's up there on the Mount Rushmore of just all-time great people. We have a ton of fun on the road. His family's been incredibly welcoming as well, and a great part of our broadcast crew, and he's got a ton of stories to go along with that long career as well. So let's get into it, Nasher. Let's get to Dom and hear about some of the stories and the battles that he used to have in the National Hockey League.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Nashcast, powered by the Utah Mammoth. It's not just another hockey conversation. Today, we're sitting down with a colleague whose story goes far beyond the game. He's played over 1,000 games, 1,000 in the National Hockey League, win 10 different teams, some massive series clinching goals in the playoffs, and maybe the biggest of all, winning the Bill Masterton Trophy for perseverance. Now he's building hockey in Utah, teaching the passionate fans, carrying that quiet strength of someone who has been through the fire. It's about hockey, yes, but it's also about love, loss, resilience, and what it means to keep going. Dominic Moore, my brother, welcome to the show, buddy.
Wow. Nasher, if there's one thing we've learned about the Nashcast, is that there's never an intro that is underhyped. That's for sure.
My toupee almost flew off with that one, buddy. Well earned. Well earned. We got our white whale, Folts. Folts, we got our colleague, Dominic Moore. He's always so quiet, never wants it to be about him, right? But we got him on the Nashcast.
I'm just surprised we were able to peel him off the pickleball and tennis courts long enough to sit down and do an interview. Dom, are you...
Let me be clear about one thing. I don't spend a lot of time on the pickleball court. Our producer, Adam Hill, and I, we tag teamed up to win a pickleball tournament, but that's about the only time I've spent on a pickleball court this year. I do spend a lot of time on the tennis courts. You guys both may attest to that or know that. That's fair.
Yeah. I'm just imagining some poor marketing intern. Some poor marketing intern who's like paired up with like a inside sales account executive, and they're just getting like blasted by a guy who, played a decade and a half in the NHL.
I will clear the record on that, and Adam can attest to this. We were not the ringers at this Smith Entertainment Group pickleball tournament. We were the underdogs. Let me put it that way. We were by far not the ones coming in there intimidating anyone. We were not that. Yeah.
You're just stuffing it down people's throats, eh? Just like hammer time. You got no off switch. When you played Folts in the National Hockey League, you have no off switch. We were playing charades at my house last night here, and I was like just chirping people, absolutely giving it to people. So it comes with the territory. All right, welcome back. I don't know how many times we had to chop this up. Dom, like the amount of money you made in your career, like, can you not afford good Wi-Fi? Like this is ridiculous. You changed locations. You're now in the dungeon in your basement. I do like that jersey back there, though.
Yeah, I'm in the gym now. The long story short, we just switched rooms around here, so now my office is. The baby's finally old enough to have his own room. So we put him in where it used to be my office bedroom, and now I'm in the other side of the house, and the Wi-Fi is not happening back there. So here we are in the gym, and let's get rolling. Sorry, boys.
Well, Folts, again, back to the pickleball, right? I mean, we have one speed. We have no mercy, Dom. That's one thing I know. Whether it's a company pickleball tournament, I can imagine you stuffed a few people right down the throat with that pickleball. But I was playing charades with my family last night, and I just absolutely torched them with chirps, with rips. I think my wife went to bed crying because I was so ruthless. It was like I was back in the locker room again. But we only have one speed, buddy.
It's only one speed. I remember playing, some kind of a charade. I forget what it was. I forget what it was called. It was some kind of like game like that where it was couples game when I was with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there was something where it was like you had to tell the truth or a lie. And this guy, Connor Brown, I mean, he lied straight face to his wife, like with no problem whatsoever, in order to win this game. Like it was like
that caused many
impressive.
Other problems after that. I can promise.
Yeah. They may not be together still, but he won that game. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Dom, I like traveling around with you and being in all those morning skates. I feel like you are the king of the quick knife, just like the one-liner that kind of sends everybody over the top. Like you let me and Matt McConnell and Nick Olchek and Doug Foster, our producer, you let us kind of bicker amongst ourselves, and then Dom always swoops in at the end with a quick little stab, and boom,
I
he's
don't.
got the one-liner.
Again, I think like the intro, you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve here. One thing I do love, Mikey, though, on the road is getting you involved in some workouts. Nasher, I
Oh
had
yeah.
Folts out on the beach doing shuttle run sprints on the beach in Santa Monica.
I hope you had Sunblock 4000. Look at that tan of Folts. Oh my God.
I brought a defibrillator just in case we needed it too.
For Matt McConnell, you mean?
Nasher,
Matty wanted to crash the interview, but we nixed it. No chance, Matty. Dom has to deal with you all year long. You're not invited, right? So just so you know, he's not going to crash you.
on this beach, it felt like I was storming Normandy. I mean, not trying to do any stolen valor, but like that was the intensity of this. I mean, Dom, like we're basically bag skating in sand. Dom's just having me doing these up and downs, and he does one, and I'm like, all right, like we'll do a couple, and then we'll move on to the next thing. And Dom's like, no, we're doing like 20 of these, and so Dom almost kills me on the beach. We get back in time for morning skate, but we have some great workouts on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, Dom. Well, we can't thank you enough, buddy. We cannot thank you enough for being on the show. We're in the dog days of the National Hockey League. We want to get back all these new moves that Bill Armstrong has done, but I want to bring you back to the Harvard days. And again, my favorite part of this job is doing the research and learning more about you. I don't know you super well because I'm not there all the time, but your Harvard stories, buddy, just looking at your Wikipedia and what you did, the damage you did in Harvard. First of all, playing D1 hockey is hard enough, but you played with your brothers. Is that right? Are you the only trio to ever do it? At the same school at Harvard, you're the younger brother, and you played at the same school together.
Yeah, it is true. By the way, I hope my Wikipedia doesn't have my middle name as Benjamin anymore. Someone threw that up there for a while. And,
it did have you as winning a Stanley Cup, so I was.
Yeah. So back to the Harvard. Yeah. So 3 boys, two older brothers. That's where I think I learned a lot of the competitiveness that you talked about, Nasher, is just trying to keep up with older and bigger brothers. I was always the smallest, always the youngest, and you learn a lot of grit that way. I mean, we used to play, tackle football on the street in front of our house. It was a cul-de-sac, and when the snow came, it left like, just enough of a cushion that you could play tackle football on the road in the snow, and you getting checked over snowbanks. You learn how to take a hit, that's for sure. But the best part about my freshman year in college was just that my parents could finally go to one game and see all 3 of us play at the same time. They spent countless hours driving us all over Ontario, all growing up. You know very well the sacrifice that parents make to give their kids a chance to pursue their dreams and have fun playing sports. And we were all over the place, but that year was the one year where they could come to one hockey game and see all 3 of us. And for me, being able to play with both of them, was a dream come true. And I give them all the credit in the world, by the way. The Harvard thing, it's obviously very grateful to have been able to play hockey at a place like that. But I deserve none of the credit, particularly, the oldest brother has to be the trailblazer. And, I give them all the credit for kind of navigating that path. I always thought, Nasher, I would play in the O. Like I didn't think about college at all. I didn't even know what Harvard was basically until my brother was going there. I thought, I would play in the OHL. Later, as I was a teenager, I thought maybe I would go to some place like Michigan because that was just down the road. I love the Wolverines mascot. But things just evolved the way they evolved.
So how hard was that recruitment then? Like, did you ever get to Boston and kind of hang out with your brothers when they were there before you were? Or was it kind of set in stone that you were headed there once they were headed there, as long as you had the grades?
It was not set in stone. I mean, if they have to recruit you just like any
Yeah.
other player. You got to kind of earn your chance to be recruited by these schools. I was a late bloomer. I was only in junior year of high school. I was still only like 5'5", 126 pounds. I was a runt. My dad kept telling me, like I'm half Irish, half Italian. And the Italians, they bloom early. You got full beards at 12, and the Irish are the opposite. They tend to grow later. And my dad was Irish and he grew later, and he kept telling me, just hang in there. You're gonna grow. I trusted that, and I did grow. I mean, I ended up by the end of high school, I was, almost my full 6 feet height that I am now. And yeah, I guess I got hooked on college hockey though when I went to watch my first game, and I went to see my brothers play at Cornell. And if you've ever been to Cornell, it's one of the best environments in college hockey, particularly when Harvard plays there, because there's this age-old rivalry. But it's this old wooden barn, really tight, incredible, like rabid crowd. Um, and I got to see them play a playoff game there, and I was like, wow, what an environment. I would kill to be able to play in this kind of environment. It was nothing like anything I'd ever seen before. So I was able to experience that. Like when we go onto the ice there for warm-ups, the entire student section would throw fish at the Harvard players. So like the entire end zone where Harvard's skating around now has like actual fish, not like like people smuggled fish in, and it reeked awfully. You just had to stand on the far side and hope to not get hit.
Nashville on steroids.
My personal favorite was some creative kid brought in like frozen fish sticks and threw those out there. But
well, times are tough. They're a little cheaper.
Student budget. Yeah, exactly. So,
what are you most proud of?
Fun.
I mean, you're 11th all-time scoring. I mean, that is impressive. I mean, Harvard's been around for how many years? Dude, that is that's what I love about this. Again, just doing a deep dive, because your NHL career, you're obviously known as a shutdown forward, all that stuff. But in Harvard, you were putting up massive points.
Yeah, I think, when I look back at what I'm most proud of, probably just my senior year, being able to serve as the captain of the team and, mentor some of the young guys. We had a really great group of young kids that year, guys that I, still am really close with to this day. That just a really good group. And I think anytime you want to have a good team, the young players have to grow and be good. And so I felt like as a captain, I did my best to try to include those guys and help build their confidence throughout the year. And we had a really good season that year. Ended up, getting back to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. That was a time when only the top 12 teams made it. So we were a top 12 team, my last 2 years in the country, and just really proud of the group that we had and the friendships that we had that year.
I know you guys made the tournament, but was there a chance for you to play pro at all at the end of your senior year? Or did you know, like, okay, I'm just going to start fresh, at the beginning of the next year?
I had a decision to make at the end of my junior year. So after my junior year, the Rangers at that time were interested in me coming out and playing pro right away. And I made the decision to stay just because I didn't feel like I wanted to come out and play in the minors. Like college is a short time. You only go through it once. You can't get those years back. It's 4 short years. I was going to have the opportunity to, be the captain. Like those were experiences that I did not want to miss. So the decision after junior year to stay for my last year, I think, was the biggest one. Then after my senior year, there was no doubt in my mind that I was just going to stay and enjoy senior spring like any college kid. Enjoy those moments that, again, you're not going to get those back. No regrets whatsoever on how I kind of played all that out.
Well, your first game in the National Hockey League. I mean, it's a dream just to put that jersey on for the first time. And the Rangers, what an organization, right? And not only do you, play in the game, you put up a 3-point night, Dom. That is unbelievable. That's unheard of. Like unheard of. Like, were you like, oh my God, that's an easy game? Like, what am I doing? Gretz, look out. The records are gonna fall.
Yeah, I mean, I only played like 7.5 minutes in that game too. So to come out with 3 points was a good night. Yeah, listen, I mean, like you can attest to, Nash, it's all a blur. To me, the most amazing special part about it was that my first game was in Montreal, which anyone that knows the game knows that it's the most hallowed grounds in our sport. You know, the history, the ghosts that live in that building, which, listen, I grew up in Toronto. Maple Leafs are the king in my hometown, but I was steeped in the history of the game and knew all of the Montreal legends of the past back to the mid-century. And so to play my first game there was pinch worthy, like what is happening, dream of all dreams. So it's all a blur. I don't know, everything I touched seemed to turn to gold that night.
Well, so you played a couple years in the NHL with the Rangers that first pro season. The names in that locker room, Leach, Messier in there. Then Yager wasn't there at that point, was he? Or was he the next year in New York?
So my first year pro, he was not there. It was pre-lockout. And then after the 04-05 lockout, Yager was there.
Okay. But when you first go up, like, I mean, Messier's right there, right? I mean, what was that like, lacing up your skates and looking over and
wow. Speaking of that, Nashville will love this story. So my first training camp, there's a scrimmage. It's not like there's no officials, but it's an inter squad scrimmage. There's Glenn Sather, who was the GM and the head coach at the time, was on the ice kind of as the official. But it was an inter-squad game. I get the puck in the neutral zone. I cut across the blue line, which, Nasher, the trolley track's not a good idea, right? Like, so out of the corner of my eye, I see someone coming who's lined me up, and they've got me in the trolley tracks. And so my head's down, looking at the puck, but I see them in my peripheral, and I'm like, okay, as they get closer, I'm just gonna reverse hit them. I'm going to act like I don't see them and reverse hit them. Gets closer and closer. And then right at the last second, I lunge out with my shoulder. Without a doubt, like, greatest hit of my career, because I wasn't a physical player. This guy went head over heels, flat on his back. It was Messier.
No. Oh, my God. That went over well.
So literally within like 5 seconds, three of the greatest goons in NHL history. Okay, so Matthew Barnaby, Dale Purinton, who you know who that is.
Oh God, he fish hooked me in my eyeball.
Yeah. And Chris Simon. Okay, all three of those guys at the same time rushed me, and I think Simon was on my team in the scrimmage.
And you're like, you're on my team. He's like, no, Messier's on my team, kid, not you.
And so first of all, Messier, after practice, I'm in the gym and I go and I say, listen, Mark, like, I had no idea that was you. Like, it was just like an accident, essentially. Like, it was not one of those cases where a young guy's trying to make his name for himself and hit a star. Like, it was not that. It was like, I had no idea who was coming. They're in my peripheral vision. I'm protecting myself. It just happened to be one of the greatest players and leaders in the history of our game. But he could not have been nicer about it. He was, as you'd expect, a total class act and gentleman about it, and including kind of took me under my wing later, and when I got called up, and went out of his way to be helpful. So that was my introduction to training camp.
That was his last season, I think. You knocked Messier out of the league.
No. He went on to play more, I think, after that.
Okay.
Unreal. Dom, your road, right? Your journey. You started with the Rangers, team that drafted you. Then you're in Pittsburgh. Then you're in Minnesota. Like, these are massive markets too, by the way. Then you're in your hometown in Toronto. Then off to Buffalo. Then you're in Florida, FLA, baby. Then Montreal. Then Tampa. Then San Jose. Then the Islanders. Then Boston. Then Toronto.
No Islanders.
10 different teams. No Islanders?
No Islanders.
Oh, New York. I got that.
Yeah,
you're right. Back to the Rangers. Excuse me. Back to the Rangers. My God, dude. Like, the grind, the toll that takes in itself. And you kind of get made fun of for that sometimes as being a suitcase, right? But not for you. I mean, you were a commodity. You were a player that every team wanted and needed to be successful. So what did that mean to you? What was that journey like?
Yeah, I mean, I never wanted it to be that way. I would have loved to have stayed in one place my whole career. It's not easy to kind of come into a new group and assimilate to the group and build friendships and all of that, as you know, Nasher. So I think what happened was I got into this mode where I was always on a short-term deal. The longest deal I ever had was 2 years.
Wow.
So when the cap era started, nobody's getting traded with long-term deals. It's only the guys on one-year deals or 2-year deals, which I was always on. And then I was always a guy that, teams would want or could add at the playoffs for penalty kill or faceoffs, or, shore up the lineup. So I was always in that kind of mode to be traded, where I was on a short-term deal, was easily movable, and teams would want to add me at the deadline. So I guess at this point, I'm grateful for all those experiences. It led me to a lot of things that or priceless experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Playoff runs and teammates that I met along the way, and not to mention the different challenges that you go through all throughout that process. Build strength and all that, and experience, which I think helps me, including in things like broadcasting, right? I've been in all these different markets, all these different teams, played with all these different players, played for all these different coaches, 17 different NHL head coaches, tons of Hall of Fame players. So while I wouldn't have asked for it, if you gave me the option at the beginning of my career, I think now in my role now, I think it's almost irreplaceable.
And I love sitting with you at morning skate and just getting to hear what you think about things and learning from you. But I would have thought that even without your journey around the NHL, you're a Harvard guy, you played all these years in the NHL, but you have seen so many coaches, so many systems. You feel like no matter what happens, I can see a coaching style or a system or a D zone coverage, and I can identify it because I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, the game's always changing, right? So the tactics and strategies that teams use is always evolving. The sport evolves just like anything. I think the biggest strength is just knowing a lot of times the mentality that players or the teams are going through collectively, or the mentality of coaches, or the dynamics that, as an analyst, you have to be able to kind of pull things out, right? You got to observe and then pull things out. And I guess I'd say I have a highly trained eye, having seen so much and been a part of so much, with whether it's the mentality of an individual player going through something. And a lot of times the best stories are about challenges that players are facing, right? So pulling that kind of thing out, or it's the challenges that a team is facing collectively, which, again, having run the gamut of different teams and organizations, I think I'm able to recognize that when it comes the ups and downs of a season, the growing pains of a team as they evolve and adapt to the various adversity that they might face along the season or season to season. So I guess all those things have helped kind of train my eye to be able to see them and then explain them and pull them out for others to kind of follow along.
Well, Dom, I got to ask you, and I lost my mom at 57 to a very rare form of bioduct liver cancer. I know you won the Bill Masterton for perseverance, and it's hard enough to play the game of hockey, right? We all know that as players, just the grind, the toll it takes on you physically and mentally. But you were dealing with something a lot heavier, at the time with your late wife, Katie.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, Nasha. I had no idea about your history with your mom as well. That's too young, too soon for sure. Yeah, I think, as you know, the rare cancers are the ones that there's no playbook. We've come a long way in terms of cancer research, and a lot of the outcomes are getting better, but it's the ones that uh, you know, not a lot of people have. There's not a lot of treatment options. Unfortunately, the rare cancers make up a lot of total cancer cases. You see different stats out there, but it's roughly about a third of all cancers are rare cancers. So collectively, there's a lot, even though they're all different individual diseases. And so a lot of times, those don't have the research behind them because they just don't have the dollars, to justify developing cures for them. And that was the case for Katie. So that was a big impetus for wanting to raise funds and try to meet that challenge as best we could. One of the things I'm proud of with respect to that is not really just the fundraising, but we were able to work with some partners, scientific partners, to really make some headway with a limited amount of dollars to make a real impact. And I'm really proud of the work we were able to do with the folks in Boston at the Broad Institute. It's one of the world's foremost research centers in the world. We were able to partner with them almost as like a startup, where we gave them, with some other partners, a limited amount of funds, and they created like a pilot project that blew up into something much bigger and much more impactful. So really, really grateful to have been able to be a part of something like that. So yeah.
And your charity, your event to raise that money, Smashfest, ping pong. Of course, it all comes back to paddle sports with
Yeah.
Dom. But were you surprised at some of the people who participated, or the support that event and that charity garnered?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, the impetus for Smashfest, which was the charity event that I ran for 10 years, it last couple of years we've taken a break just because I've been so busy with family and other commitments. But hopefully we'll bring it back. But I had always thought like ping pong was the perfect thing for a charity event. And it's anyone can play. It's social. Everyone's in one room. You go to a golf event, nothing against golf. I love golf. But as a charity event, you're with one, foursome the entire day, right? And then you have the dinner or whatever. Ping pong was just a couple hours. Everyone's in one big room. Anyone can talk to anyone at any given moment. So what we did was we got, 30 NHL players in a brewery in Toronto. And fans bought tickets and could come out, and it was just a big party with ping pong as the theme. And so grateful for the many years of support from, literally hundreds of players over the course of those 10 years. The support of the NHLPA, that was a partner with me for, all that time. The league got involved towards the end to support it as well. But just hockey's a small world. But the event has been a lot of fun, and it I loved ping pong. I personally loved to play in the locker room, would battle for hours on end with Marty St. Louis. And
Oh,
so
name
that's
dropper.
how it all
Oh,
came together. Yeah.
could he see over the table?
Well,
He ate a lot of balls.
one thing I've learned about Nashcast, by the way, you mentioned name dropper. Only Nashcast can you have a story start with. I was with Wayne Gretzky last night, and then so. But that's not the story, by the way. The story is something else. But it starts with I was with Wayne Gretzky last night, but only
and not
Nashville
a
could
big
pull
deal.
that off.
Not a big deal, Dom. He's now wearing our swag. He's got my giant nose on the back of his hoodie, strutting around Idaho somewhere. So I loved it, and I only got a couple more for you, Dom. But I'm very curious because you look at your Harvard numbers, you look at your numbers that you put up in the American Hockey League in Hartford. I mean, you were an offense producer. How and who impacted you and changed your role from more of an offensive guy to a defensive guy? Because you kind of take a back seat. Salaries are not the same, right? Defending rather than scoring. And you could have done both. But who was that guy that obviously it helped you? You almost played 1,000 games in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just finding your way, and every prospect or player's path is different in terms of the opportunities that they're given along the way. For me, like breaking into the New York Rangers, it was essentially the only way to make the team. My rookie year, the budget for the Rangers, like their payroll was 85 million in 2003.
Back then,
Eric Lindros was the fourth line center. He's a Hall of Famer. So I wasn't going to make the team then as a offensive player. It's about being adaptable, and for me, the way to carve my role in those early days was to be a defensive player, kill penalties. Eventually it continued to evolve at, reliable, it ended up being a face-off guy as well. And it evolved throughout my career as well, where there were times in, different teams like Tampa Bay where I played more power play time, and I had more offensive time up there. In Toronto, I was given more opportunity my first go around there to play more minutes at times. And so I always prided myself on being adaptable. Wherever the team needed me, I felt confident that I could produce if they needed me to produce, and that I could shut down if they needed me to shut down. So I think that helped me survive and thrive for such a long time.
Dom, now you're in the broadcast world. Tyson, you are as well, both post-playing career. But Dom, you've played with a lot of guys who have interesting post-playing careers. I think of Hank Lundqvist, obviously, on TV with the folks over at TNT. Marty St. Louis, coach of the Montreal Canadiens. Ryan Whitney, podcast host with Spit and Chicklets from your 1 year in Pittsburgh. Is there anybody who has an interesting post-playing career that you've been around that maybe you're surprised by, or that you didn't see coming from your playing days with that individual?
Oh man, your research would probably be better than mine on this, Mikey. Knowing how prepared you always are. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have seen the stuff about David Booth. He was a guy that I played with back in Florida with the Panthers, but he's like, he had a good, successful NHL career, but then after that, he's gone and he's like played hockey in like all these far off places like Thailand and Australia and all these different places. He's kind of used his hockey to travel the world, and what a interesting journey he's been on. There's other guys, Mike Richter is a guy who's just really smart guy and had gone on to be really successful in business. Guys that have gone outside the game, done really impressive things. Off the top of my head, it's hard to think of, but but yeah, it's there's a lot. I've played with a lot of teammates over the years, so I'd have to go through my hockey DB.
Lee Semniak,
then,
director of player development with the
there you
Mammoth.
go. There's the research coming through, Mikey.
I love it. Hey, Dom, Utah, the moves they've made. I mean, where do you think this team can get to? My God, I don't know if you're as excited as I am, but I feel like I'm at Christmas looking at all these new presents under the tree, and we can't open them yet until training camp.
It's an exciting time to be, a part of this organization. I mean, you said it. It's the sky's the limit for where this team can go. Obviously, who knows how long that trajectory is going to take. The fact is they're taking steps. They're moving in the right direction, and the moves that they made this summer are super exciting because they just solidify, to me, a couple things that I think were really important to taking that next step. One is the leadership, veteran leadership component. We all know the youth skill, speed that the team has, but just adding that level of character in the locker room with Anders Lee and Trocheck, getting Johnny Marino locked up long term. These are huge moves that just send a message within the group and beyond that the team is ready to take that next step. But we'll also have the front row seat to see the next phase of evolution for Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. And let's not forget that, Schmaltz and Keller, these guys aren't old. They've still got lots of runway to continue to grow their game as well. So, yeah, we're very lucky to have a front row seat to what's happening in Utah. And just to see too, the way that this organization has been a magnet to talent. Anders Lee could have played in his hometown in Minnesota. You guys mentioned that on the pod, recently, and he didn't.
Wow,
right?
you're listening.
And here he is. Like that's a big thing, right? Being able to go to your hometown, like that's a big thing. And most players, especially at the end of their career, which, he's 36 years old, like that's the time to go home and play in front of friends and family. And he comes here. That's awesome. So we're blessed to be here and excited for year number 3.
One of my favorite things from last year with you, Dom, was being at training camp and looking at the young guys, maybe at rookie camp even, and listening to you go, he's not ready. He's on his way. He's not ready. This guy's getting close. Things like that. From what you remember from last year and maybe anything that you've seen over the year, like a lot of folks are excited about T.J. Ginla and this new crop of players coming up. It's going to be hard for them to make the team because it's going to be a competitive camp. But how, like, when you think of that aspect of this Mammoth build, the young players that are coming up, what excites you the most concerning this new crop of Mammoth players that were prospects or currently are but are about to not be?
I think what excites me the most is that these young guys are going to have to earn it. And I say that in the sense that when you're a prospect on a rebuilding team, a team that's kind of like in the deepest part of the rebuild, like not to sell it short, but you make the team, okay, it's not a good team. You know what I mean? You maybe wouldn't make the NHL on another team. Now, the Utah Mammoth, anybody that makes this team has earned it. And to me, as a prospect, that's a good thing because when I came into the first training camps, the one I mentioned with Messier and other ones after that, one of the best parts about being at training camp is you see what it takes to make it. You're on the ice with these guys, you see the level, and you can instantly grasp where you're at and what you need to do to be able to make it. And to me, the level of the Utah Mammoth has risen to the point where there's no handouts anymore. You're going to have to earn your way onto the team and prove yourself over and over again in order to get that spot because you're going to have to outcompete someone else who probably deserves to be there as well. So that the competitive nature of the team at the stage they're at, I think I'm really excited to watch it. I think at the end of the day, it makes those prospects better, because if all of a sudden that bar has raised, and now as a prospect, okay, I have to work at X, Y, and Z in order to actually make it, versus I used to be able to make it without those things. Well, all of a sudden you're challenging them to be better versions of themselves. So I think that's a great place to be in for the Mammoth.
Oh, Dom, that is well said. Well said. The NHL is not a developmental league. That's the big thing, right? And I can't agree more with you. The sky is the limit. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. I know we got through the battle through the internet problems, just more adversity, buddy. But thank you for joining us, Nashcast. We finally got you. I love it. Thank you, brother.
Great to join you guys.
Thanks, Tom.
There you have it, folks. My God, the emotions, the highs, the lows of that interview. But what a gentleman, what a human being. And you touched on it, Folts. They don't make him any better than Dominic Moore. What he's gone through, how he battled almost 1,000 games in the National Hockey League, and a player that was extremely skilled. Like, this guy was so talented, and you have to think that he tweaked his game a little bit just to play that role, right? That defensive-minded centerman, shutdown guy that allowed him to play so long in the National Hockey League and be wanted by so many teams. Usually you get ripped for being a suitcase when you play on 10 different teams, but that just means you're wanted. That means you're a wanted commodity, and that certainly is the case for Dominic Moore. So thank you to him. What an interview, buddy.
And a great asset to our team, our broadcast team, because Tyson, there have been a ton of morning skates where I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, shouldn't they be doing this? And Dom's like, no, you're an idiot. Like, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, I'm glad I didn't say that on the radio tonight or on the Nashcast, because I would have sounded like a total fool, but Dom was able to kind of steer me in the right direction.
It's credibility, right? I mean, the amount of credibility that a guy like Dominic Moore has is just next level. And when you can have him on the broadcast, and there's also a guy that went from national broadcast to the team broadcast, right? Which is significant. And, fascinating, all the things that he talked about, that just, being part of a team that is together every morning at morning skates, that travels on the same plane together, like national broadcast. And that's what I'm starting to get into a little bit. It's a lonely place. You travel by yourself. You're in the American Express lounge by yourself. You got no one to crack jokes with and play pranks on. So it's very different. I don't mind the first class, though. I don't mind the first class, I'll tell you that. But I do miss the team atmosphere, right? So when I come back to Utah, that's why I'm smiling ear to ear, buddy, because I love being in that environment, as does Dom. He talked about it. So what a great interview, and just a heartbreaking story on top of it.
Yeah, thanks again to Dom Moore. Can't wait to get back on the road with him this year. Can't wait to be back with everybody next week on the Nashcast as well. Remember, you can follow along on Instagram at Nashcast Official. Tons of great stuff that's coming out there, including some stuff that maybe was in the vault from year one that we're resurfacing now. So a lot of those stories are seeing the light of day on Instagram as well. So be sure to follow along. But Tyson, enjoy your time in the beautiful Northwest, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you, buddy.